My name's Malcolm Peel. I'm 66 years old, and I was born locally, and I worked in the coal mines. It's the only job I've ever had is in the coal mines, and I worked at Granville at Donington until they was pit shut down in '93.
Right, so you've been mining all your life then?
35 years, yes.
If you could go back to the day of mining, would you still want to do it?
Oh yes, definitely. I never regretted it. Well, it's always been good. It's always paid well, and I encouraged my son to join me in the mines, and he worked in the mines for 10 years up until they shut. Well, obviously when they shut, he had to find work elsewhere, but I never regretted it. It's always been a good living.
Was there any special like equipment you had to use down in the mines?
Well, there was always special equipment, but one of the most important things, safety lamps, flame safety lamps. And nowadays they're used for detecting gas. Originally, see that one down there, that's one of or a copy of the original Davy lamp to provide illumination for miners with the gas and things like that, using candles, and there was very often explosions and people getting killed, to illuminate the working place, but it wasn't much good. It was worse than a candle. Still today, those lamps are still required by law to be used to detect gas. But obviously there's other machinery for producing coal, there's electricity and...
What were the mines like when you were down there?
Well, it depends where you were. The shafts, two shafts that go down to the coal seams, and then there's roadways driven in the coal out into where the coal faces where the coal's produced. Now, at one time I worked at Cannock, a pit called Littleton, and the surveyors did a bit of a survey at one time, and there was 44 miles of roadway open underground.
Could you explain what a typical day is like down in the mines?
In later years now, I was an official, so I was telling people what to do. So I had to get up a little bit earlier, get there before everybody else, find out what was happening, read the reports and get the information, and then wait for the men to come. Then the men would come and report to me. You followed them down, then you went around and examined where they were working, made sure it was safe, make sure they were working safe. And at the end of the day, you came up the mine, you had to fill reports in, and you had to report to senior officials and explain things. That things had gone wrong, you had to explain what had gone on.
Just looking at that certificate and the lamps you've got there, get the feeling you're very proud to have been a miner.
Oh, definitely. I still am. Although I haven't been down a pit for 16 years, I'm still a coal miner.
Did you say earlier that you were at Granville when Granville closed?
Yes.
Can you describe what happened when it closed and how you felt about it closing?
Well, it closed in 1979. It had been on the cards for years, really, because the seams of coal at Granville weren't very thick. The thickest seam we'd got at Granville was 6 foot thick, or near enough 2 metres thick. The other seams were thinner. Compared with the coal seams at Cannock, where they're nearly 3 metres and nearly 4 metres thick. So for the same amount of effort with the machine went up and down and took a slice of coal off. Obviously it was taking more coal in the thicker seams than it was in the little seams. So it was very difficult to make a profit. And in fact Granville didn't make a profit. I can never remember it ever making a profit. It always made a loss.
Well, I heard from another guy who worked down Granville, he said conditions in Granville were pretty bad, actually.
They were bad compared with other pits. One of the problems at Granville was gas, very gassy. And in fact, at one time, before they started extracting gas from the North Sea, and before we turned on to natural gas, we were selling gas to the gas board at Wellington. It was piped all the way from Granville to the gas works at Wellington, and it was mixed with town gas. So we were actually boring holes underground, catching it and pumping it out and selling it to the gas board. So that was one of the problems with Granville. And I mentioned the seams, perhaps 3-4 foot thick. So you work a shift, you're on the coal face, you're on your hands and knees all the while. But that's what we got used to. We wore knee pads. When we went to Cannock, and we'd still, although with Granville now working on the thin seams, we wore knee pads to protect the knees. We still wore those knee pads when we were standing up. It was something we got into and got used to. And at Granville, you were paid, when you had contract for producing coal, you were paid for what you produce, but it was determined by the advance in metres. It was a measurement. So if the coal face advanced to so many metres, you got so much money.
So,
In later years, like I just said, we had a contract, so the harder we worked, the more we got. And it was good.